your favorite exhaust company coming back at you with another install video. Today, Carven Exhaust is installing and releasing April 3rd, 2020, the 2016 to 2020 Toyota Tacoma kit.
Now, without further ado, now that we got the truck on the lift, the OEM system is still on the truck. Now, this system has been modified. I do have another stock Tacoma outside that still has an OE exhaust on it. So not only that, we're doing an install video, we're gonna have side-by-side sound comparison as well. So first things first, let's go check out the kit. Let's take the camera over there, go give you a rundown. It's a three-piece design. It utilizes the TR series muffler. This is the fiberglass packed with a lubricore. It's what we deemed appropriate for the V6 platform. Delivers a really good growl. Enough of me talking, let's go check it out. Now that we've seen what the kit looks like, let's head over to the workbench. We're gonna go see the tools needed for install. All right, as always, impact. We have a 14mm socket, a 15mm socket. The 15 is gonna be for the Carven exhaust clamps. The 14 is gonna be for the OE hardware up front. You're gonna unbolt 2 bolts. You are reusing that hardware. Please reuse your stock hardware. The Carven exhaust kit is not gonna come with new bolts. Exhaust hanger removal tool, if you don't have one, highly recommend. Saves your fingers and your hands, your knuckles a lot of times. As always, grease, lubrication, WD-40. Doesn't matter what you use, something just to help everything snug up into the exact right position. Something I get asked a lot about fitment, if things are off, tips aren't sitting right, this, that, or the other. Guys, an 1/8 of an inch not seated correctly, a 1/4 of an inch sitting in the rubber grommet housing wrong, anything like that can dramatically change the fitment. So it's very vital when I say to use lubrication, not a lot, just a little bit. Anything you can find around the house, even dish soap. All right, now that we've gone over this, let's go get cranking on the install. Moving to underneath the vehicle, you're gonna unbolt these 2 bolts, and as you can see, I've already sprayed them down to loosen them up. Just gonna go ahead and work your way from side to side, not undoing one side fully at a time. You wanna go incrementally side to side until the bolts come out. Now, another thing that I've been hearing a little bit more as far as phone calls go, customer service oriented type of stuff. People asking about movement of front pipes. If you guys notice, when I loosened those 2 bolts that were holding this flange together, not only did the rear piping fall, but the OEM pipe doesn't stay in its correct spot. I mean, that little bit of movement. Now this doesn't have a lot of movement, but for an example like a Tundra kit,
When you undo those two pieces up front where you're rebolting our new kit on, those two pieces off the heads are gonna bow out a little bit. You have to kind of muscle things back together, and you're not gonna hurt the exhaust by doing so. All right. Moving on, you can see that. Now, this is very vital as well. Carven Exhaust does not supply this gasket. This is an OE gasket from Toyota. You can pick them up at the dealership. I think the dealership charges like 20 or 30 bucks for them. If you can just manage to save yours, just reuse it. Now, we're gonna head over back to the toolbox. I'm gonna grab the hanger removal tool, and we're gonna go ahead and start dropping some of the hangers. Watch your head, Jay. There we go. All right, so OEM is not gonna look like this. This is strictly aftermarket. It'll come apart in the same process, and I'm gonna go ahead and add in some clips of an OEM exhaust so we can kind of show you guys the difference. All right, so just to give you guys a quick snippet, this is an OEM truck with an OEM exhaust from the factory. Same hardware as before as the ones we took off. You can see right up here on the hangers, the actual metal hanger on the exhaust is a little bit different. You can see this side, it's got a almost like a pushed in nipple on it. However, that tool that I told you to pick up if you can, Harbor Freight carries them, will actually lock into this very well and push that straight out. It should come off the same as far as the other components that we took off. You can see here, this one was modified from the muffler section back, but if you take a look straight up, same seated positions in our catback kit did mount correctly on his truck as well. And then it just pitches up right over the axle. All is one piece. This is one piece, you slide all the way out. So you'll drop the two front bolts, come down right here, and you'll pull forward and you'll be able to pitch it straight out. I mean, you can see right here, we even got the straight piece out as a single unit as well. But I just wanted to give you guys some clarity. Now we got that out of the way. Let's go ahead and go head over, grab the Carven exhaust components and start bolting this thing up. Gasket needs to be placed back over. All right, so once you have the head pipe on, you're just gonna slip the hardware back in, briefly snug it up. Again, going back and forth from side to side, never one side at a time. All right. Now, onto the muffler section. Now, one tip whenever it comes to installing the muffler section, go ahead and slipping on your clamp first. That way, all you have to do is move it up the piping to secure it. Want to go up over the axle. Temporarily line these up. All right. You can see right there, it's gonna mate. Now, if we pay close attention, you can see it's barely in. Barely in. You see all this room? He pushed all the way forward, so we're closing up this gap up front. And again, it is stainless steel. Go ahead and feel free to kind of manhandle or woman handle it, depending on who's doing the install. No discrimination here. And you can see that gap is now gone. Boom. and it is not going any further. So switching over to the 15mm socket. I like to have these facing down, that way they're easily accessible. And then you want to make sure it covers the slit completely. The clamp helps seal those pockets. All right. And you can already tell, I mean, we're not even all the way torqued down. That's not going anywhere. Last but not least, the tailpipe and tip, they are two separate pieces. It is just the last component of the kit. And go grab that. And this one, you're gonna come straight back behind the vehicle, or not behind the axle. All right, so once you head to the rear under the axle, you'll see where the Carven exhaust tip is seated. You're gonna go ahead and slip it through and push it all the way up to the bend knuckle. Push in, and it'll slip right on. Okay, same as we did before, this was pre-slipped on. You don't ever want to remove this nut and washer setup. This is supposed to stay there. It ruins the integrity of the clamp if we undo that to wrap it around. So you want to slide it up, bolt facing down, covering the slits. Boom. Now, before we tighten everything up, now I do apologize for the sound behind us. Just for one moment during the install video, sorry to take you guys away from that. If you hear sounds in the background, that is because we're fully functioning. This is not something that we set aside time or outsource to any other companies. The back of the shop, or we're in the back of the shop, but the rest of the shop is still working full time. And what you hear in the background is the Mandrel benders and the vacuums that go over the welding stations, things like that. So just to kind of clear that up, if you hear things in the background, I apologize. We are mic'd up, so you should be able to hear me just fine. But now that we've had everything in place and hung up kind of the way that we want it, we are going to go ahead and move into the tip now. Now the reason why I say you want to do this before is to make sure you get the tip exactly where you want it, and then go tighten up accordingly. If you tighten up first and then put the tip on and you tighten something wrong and it's sitting too low or X, Y, and Z, now you have to go undo everything anyway. And these clamps are only meant to be undone a handful of times. They lose their tension a little bit over time if you're undoing and constantly loosening and tightening them. But let me go grab the tip. We did do something a little one-off for the special guests we got on the lift today. Oh, and by the way, when you guys get a chance, go ahead and head over to the online store. We sell all sorts of sweet Carven exhaust apparel. It's very high quality. Check it out whenever you get a chance. And through the end of April 2020, COVID-19 is 10% off. So use that to your advantage. Going back into the tip. Now, something I always tell people, and there is Carven exhaust decals, please pay attention. We get asked about these a lot. They're in every single package. I always try to tell people, grab it from the inside, not the outside. Inside, not the outside. I'm gonna go under, try to get to the other side here. There is no clamp on this one. This is gonna be just straight bolt on. You can see a little tack weld it's done up there to make sure everything's held on right. Now, can you see the play that I have in the tailpipe and up and down? That was what I was referring to earlier before tightening everything up. So let's get this on to the right spot. Looks about right. But, skirt! We're not done yet. Now we need to move back under the truck, tighten everything up because the tip is where I want it to sit. Now, we're not gonna bolt the tip down yet. We're not gonna torque that down until we have this down on the ground. We can make sure the logo is centered and everything like that. The last thing we wanna do is rework something twice or do twice as much work that's not necessary. So, using your 15, we're gonna go back through, we're gonna go from the rear to the front on tightening everything down. For those 2 OEM pieces of hardware, and like I said, we want to go back and forth. And you should be good to go. Go ahead and check everything for sturdiness and stability. Now you do want a little bit of play in your exhaust. That's why it's got these rubber grommets on it. When the motor is pushing a lot of torque, not necessarily on the V6 platform here, but you don't want to feel that extra rigidity inside the cab or on the chassis of the truck. So you're good there. You want a little bit of movement. Let's go ahead and bring this thing down to the ground, make sure the tip's square, tighten that up with our Allen key, give you guys some sound clips. It?
That's so cool. Wow.
Little custom touch. I put it a little bit higher up so you can see it without having to go like to the bottom of the truck, you know what I'm saying?
That's so cool.
Sick. Alright, so you can just see the quality is a lot higher, and then the piping is a lot it's a smaller diameter in the rear, but it's what diameter it's supposed to be. You're probably going to get a little bit more horsepower and torque too.
Really?
Yeah.
This thing's so sick.
Wow.
Wow. Sounds like way better, like deeper like that. Like how that one was like.
Yeah, that sounds probably raspy.
Yeah, that one was. Yeah, so super pumped. I contacted with Carven Exhaust, you know, talked to him through Instagram, got something lined up, and I had an exhaust before, and I was thinking about getting another exhaust, and it was so loud and just so annoying. And finally these guys came through, got me laced up with the first Tacoma, so I'm pretty pumped to be the first guy in the nation to get one of these things. Thing sounds night and day difference compared to my one before, and I'm just pumped to have these guys with me. Appreciate it.
just cruising, this is more where you're gonna be. Is that
Yeah, that's way better.
tamer? A lot tamer at least?
Yeah, it still sounds mean, but it's not like vibrating inside the whole truck to where like my last exhaust was so annoying. Like when you're driving regularly and it just vibrate off every single car. This one's like still mean, still sounds good. Wow, way.
All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of wide open throttle pull with the 2016 to 2020 Tacoma full catback kit by Carven Exhaust. That was up to just about 6,000 RPM. So, and you have an intake on this too,
Yeah.
right? Okay, you can kind of hear it. That's it, guys. The 2016 to 2020 Carven Exhaust full catback for the Tacoma.